Hey everybody, it's Jane Johnston with the Bar Hill Group at Remax Camosa, and I'm here with my best friend, Andrew Plank.
Hi, how's everybody doing? Jane, you're looking all tanned and I'm looking all pale. It's
Well,
you're getting a lot more time off in the sun than I am.
it's an illusion.
He's driving with the top down.
It's true. Everybody thinks I take a lot of holidays, but I drive with the top down. So, how was your week?
Yeah, good week. And you?
Good. I had a little post about property that I sold. So we had conditions, and the buyer was very inquisitive and had lots of questions, and we were able to answer everything satisfactorily. And so it's it feels like back to old days
of time where you actually are asked to find out more information about the property, do a bunch of research, go back and forth with the seller and buyer, and then maybe eventually the buyer will make an offer, as opposed to, hey, there's a property, let's buy it.
Well, they wrote an offer, and they asked the questions, and then they removed their conditions. Do you like my new mug?
It looks familiar. I've seen that logo before. I'm trying to give myself more of a tan.
Okay. Anyway, so things are looking good. I did an update with a mortgage broker the other day, and so I do have them on our slide. I thought I'd just show it at the beginning so that we could talk about what's happening with the rates. What's interesting is when I look at these, we get these rate sheets from mortgage brokers all the time. And but really there's two numbers that we need to be aware of. So why don't we hop into that right now? Shall we?
Hey, are we doing last month's stats this week? Because we didn't do that. Yeah. We got that up? Good. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we're doing the real estate market update for July 11th.
Right.
And these are the stats. And so we have prime and variable rate here at the bottom. These are the two numbers which are hard to read. 3.70 for prime rate.
Prime rate. Okay.
And variable rate is 2.80.
Okay.
And so, which is still good, 2.80.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when we first got in the business, rates were what, 8% or so, plus or minus?
Yeah.
And, and then it was interesting because at that time you would see people who had lower interest rates on their mortgages selling homes and saying, assume at this, people were advertising that, they had actually something of value when they were selling their home, which was a lower fixed interest rate.
Right. So the only thing is that what people have to qualify for now because of the stress test is plus 2%. So they have to qualify for prime plus 2%, correct? Is that the way it goes?
There's a buffer. I think that's about right. There's a buffer built in for approvals. The federal government's requiring this so that if you're going to get a mortgage, you have to get approved at a higher rate than is actually given, just for this exact reason that rates, may go up. And if they do, they don't want people to be caught unable to pay their mortgages.
Yeah, and he's saying here, Anthony McLaughlin is saying variable rate is between prime 0.9 minus 0.9 and prime minus 0.4. So the reason why these vary is because it depends on the length of your mortgage, your amortization schedule, also all the terms and conditions that you have.
Different lenders are offering different discounts based on, I guess, what they're trying to fill their portfolios with and your risk factors and so forth. But, so we're going to review rates today. We're also going to talk about, what does this mean for homeowners that interest rates are going up, and what does that mean you should do about it, if anything? So, right. And, we're not mortgage experts and we don't have a crystal ball. So we can talk probably in terms of, if you believe, I don't know, if you believe interest rates are going to continue to go up, and we have it on the books right now that they're predicting a 0.75% rate hike coming up this week, I think. Mm-hmm. And then they're predicting maybe another 0.5% in the fall, maybe another or more. So we are definitely bumping up.
Yeah. So what we want to do actually is just look at the market, and then we'll talk about our predictions based
Let's
on.
do it. Okay.
Okay. So I went back actually to June 27th, which was interesting to me, just in terms of new listings and sales, because I couldn't find last week's.
Missing.
And why couldn't I? Because I was at Shawnigan Lake pretending to take a vacation, which never happened. But anyway, let's just do this month. So 147 net unconditional sales compared to 835 for July of 2021. And
so again, saying again, we're only in July 11th, and that second column is for the full month of July. So that's not as stunningly bad as it looks.
Right. And then new listings, 346 compared to 971 in July of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And active listings were at 2,090 compared to 1,270.
Yep.
So month over month, we're not bad.
Yeah, I mean, we're still doing well for, I mean, inventory. It's nice to see a little more inventory, and certainly the buyers are appreciating seeing it and having a little more time to think about what they're looking at and make a decision around it. So Market Watch, Jane also has gone back, 2 weeks here to June 27th. So we're comparing June 27th, 2022 to July 11th. We've started adding this, previous look just to see, if anything's kind of changed or if there's a trend. It's just really a very rough estimate, but we can see here in this last week. So the right-hand column or the right-hand icon there, new listings 311 in the last week, versus 125 properties have gone pending. So we have less than half of the new listings. The ratio of new listings to going pending is less than half. It's moving towards, well, not quite a third, but it's definitely, maybe 40%. That's quite a difference from where we were seeing almost parity at one point during, or even more selling than listing. 146 price decreases, and that's also a good indication that people, we've reached a peak in the market and people are either overshooting the market by listing too high, or the market's coming, decreasing itself, and they're having to decrease prices to follow.
So when we have a conversation with a client at the beginning of the listing, we do talk about what's going to happen and whether or not we're seeing activity or not. If we're not seeing activity, that's when we say, okay, just be prepared. We may have to do a price reduction. Yeah.
I like, there was an analogy that I like about, you're trying to get to a destination, you're trying to get sold. And it's kind of like, when you're trying to get to sold, it's like being on an airplane flying from, Victoria to Vancouver or what have you. You're never going directly there. You're going to always be a little bit off course, and you always, wind and other factors, and you're going to have to course correct. And if you're finding that the market is pulling you to one side, you're going to need to adjust. And I highly recommend you do it sooner than later, or you'll find yourself further and further off course.
Yeah, you don't want to follow the market down. Mm-hmm. Okay, so total MLS listings and sales. You can see what Andrew was talking about, the list to sale ratio on the right-hand side there at 600 compared to just under 1,400 for the month of June. And so we peaked in May. That's pretty normal in terms of listings. And, I always talk about February being my favorite time to list because the list to sale ratio is so great. So the purchasers are out there, but there's not as many, and now we're getting an increase in the volume of listings.
Yeah, and we'll see less listings. This trend, as you can see in past years, tends to go down over the summer, or slowly drop over the summer. So we'll see less listings coming up. Those are the bars in this graph, but we're also seeing a pretty dramatic drop in sales. And you can see, for example, if you look at 2020, that drop was definitely not happening. If you look at 2021, that drop was less pronounced. So we're definitely seeing this curve. And so it'll be interesting to see what actually what the July stats tell us.
Okay. So this is interesting to me because this is a predictor of where the market is in terms of like the whole overall picture. So this is looking at this graph and taking it to ratios. to sales ratios. And so we're now where we were about 2 years ago, which was a kind of a balanced market.
Yeah, I mean, that was a more regular market. Now the trend is still downwards, so we may be moving towards a buyer's market. I've been saying we won't really, I think, see until we hit the fall. Because I feel like summertime, maybe there's been a few hits to people's with the interest rates, which we're going to talk about, and so forth. I think there's been some hits to people's confidence, but I think we may find that there's still a lot of buyers out there who are waiting, and that buyer pool will build up if they do decide to wait a bit. And once they come back to the table, the banquet, they'll begin to feast again.
Nice analogy.
I don't know.
Okay. So if you are looking at selling, we still have good interest rates. We still have high prices because this is a single family home prices. We're still around 1.35. Obviously, this is an average for the whole city. So we have to look at what's happening in your area. Prices have come down, but they're still way over where they were last year and 2 years ago. So it's still a good time to list.
Yes. And if you are looking to list, you need to think about, I guess, what we're going to talk again, we're talking about real estate interest rates, right? So reasons for listing might be you think that interest rates are going to go higher and higher, and property prices may drop. And if that's something you believe, then it would probably be a good time to sell before, prices go down further. If you have an opportunity to rent or an opportunity to buy somewhere in a lower price market. But if you believe that things are going to stabilize or eventually go up again, it's a good time to hold on. So Shane's shaking her head because I'm just sort of saying, like, you kind of have to take action based on what you believe, and there's a lot of there is uncertainty coming.
Well, you have to take action based on the facts. Like, I agree what you believe is important as well, but the reason why you want to consult with a professional like yourself,
right,
is because you have the perspective, right?
True, but we don't have a crystal ball. And even if you go to any expert, mortgage experts, economic experts, and so forth, they will talk about trends and they will talk about what their predictions are, but they can never really say for sure what's going to happen. And I know, having worked with many people over time, that they've all got their own beliefs about where the market's going and what's going to happen in the future.
Right.
I've worked with people who are saying, have said for the last 2 years, the market's going to crash. And they were waiting for that to happen and watched property values go up 25, 30, 20%, 25%, 30% a year, and are still on the sidelines. But they have to, I can't tell them what is going to happen, and neither can, what I'm talking about is not, yes, you should talk to experts. You should make your own decisions based on what the experts have to tell you. But we can't really predict super far into the future.
No, you can only, somebody asked me in February what their house was going to be worth in August because they wanted to list. And I was like, I have no idea.
Yeah, I had a client reach out and said, hey, we're not ready yet, but we're going to be, maybe September listing. And what's my house worth today? And I said, well, I could tell you, but it's going to have nothing at all to do with what we're going to do in September.
Right. So relatively speaking, compared to a few months ago, we're down 100,000, but up over 2 years ago, we're over 300,000. So this is exactly what you're saying. And I always tell people, I can give you the perspective right now. So here is the now price. Here is the potential price, but we're going to have to look around and see what everybody else is listing at and what's going on. Right. And a great example, I'm going to be listing a place up in Sydney. It's a little townhome, and another one came on the market in that community. And so now we have a great comparable. I got an accepted offer quickly. Boom, Bob's your uncle. Now we know.
Yeah. And I want to say too, when we look at these stats, and we're looking here at June 2022, and we can see last 2 months have been on a downward trend. And, we could also, if we sort of swiped and forgot about everything to the right of December 2020, and we only had that beginning of this graph, we would look at the first few months or the last few months of 2020 and say, oh, you know what, based on December 2020, we're probably going to see things continue to go down. And
You
look
mean
at that big jump up.
2021?
No, I'm looking at December 2020. I'm saying if you only put your hand
Oh,
over
I
the
see.
thing, and if you could only look at that far left graph, you'd see and be sort of assuming we're going to see a big drop.
Right.
Or some trend of drop, and we just don't know for sure.
Yeah, and
What
if
we
you
do
look
know
from
is-
October 2021, we see actually a very steady market. If overall, if we were to look back in time.
Yeah, I think we are coming towards some corrections. I mean, I'm not saying that, I'm not being all, it's all sky is beautiful and sunshine and roses, but I'm saying we can't really predict super far into the future here. We should,
Okay.
and to reiterate what Jane said, we should deal with the moment, what we have in the moment if you're making a decision.
Thank you, Andrew.
You're welcome, Jane.
Alrighty. So looking at the market for condos over the past 2 years, we see there's so many sales in condos. So we see a kind of a smoother line, I think, happening here, less variability. But year over year, we're up $100,000 compared to last year. And it looks like we're fairly steady. There is a slight downward trend, but I would say we're pretty well consistent about where we're going to go. All right. Row townhouses, as Andrew and I always say, there's varying qualities of row townhomes. So depends on what's on the market when, but we have seen, if we were to draw a line, we see, I think it's looking like it's steadying out.
Yeah.
As of
if you wear glasses, the best way to look at this is to take them off and just make it blurry. You want to look at this line blurry because it's really granular. There's, as we've said many times, there's fewer townhouses, so the stats tend to skew every month.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Andrew hates this graph. I really like it. We're going to look at the benchmark price for Greater Victoria. So single family homes. Let's do the core. So one benchmark price for June 2022 was 1,464. That compared to May, it's up. Compared to June 2021, it's up. And percentage change from last year is up 23.6%. So we just let's just do the first two blue columns and then the percentage change from last year. Okay.
And so let's talk, I guess, apartment units. That's condos in the core. Benchmark price was $643,100. The benchmark price of last year in June was $495,900. That's a pretty significant jump, wouldn't you say? So that's a 29.7% increase in value year over year.
Yep. And then row townhouses in the core, 919, that's up from 746 last year. And that's a 23.2% increase. And if we look at the right-hand column, we see all of these are up. The lowest is in the peninsula for condos, only up 20%. Wow. That's way better than the market.
Yeah. And hey, folks, a lot of people, I guess, first-time buyers, and actually a lot of people don't understand the value of leveraging your money. If you put down $100,000 on a $500,000 condo and it went up 20% year over year, then it's worth $600,000 to this year. You've actually doubled your money in terms of your equity. You now have you've put down $100,000, but you've got, if you were to sell it, you'd have $200,000 in your pocket in a year. So that's not going up 20% in one sense, it's going up 100% in terms of your equity.
Good point. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So it looks like there's going to be an announcement on Wednesday. And so if we go up 0.75%, that's going to be affecting our fixed rates. Our variable rates may not change. We'll see. My prediction is that housing prices are going to come down a little bit more.
Don't you mean the variable rates are going to go up and the fixed rates are based on bond rates?
Bond rates, right? Sorry,
Right.
got it
Yeah.
backwards.
So let's flip that around. If you're on variable, you're going to find your interest rates going up.
Yeah,
And
we get a notification, and it'll happen in your next mortgage period, so next month.
so what does that mean for us? I mean, I was looking at, there's just Google, interest rate rising. What does it mean for us? There's a whole bunch of articles out there, but what does it mean? Somebody with a $700,000 mortgage might be seeing at current, if it goes up by 0.75%, they might be paying an extra $236 a month, I think it was. So you're definitely going to see, some tightening of your belt, and especially if you're on the edge of affordability, edge of paying your bills, we're going to be going into some lean times. That, along with rising costs of gas and food and everything else, does mean that we should be really careful about our spending habits. But does it mean it's time, does it mean you should sell out? I guess you have to think about, I've seen many people sell and then have a hard time getting back into the market.
Agreed. It's been like, I have a client who waited a decade to get in. She finally got in last year. We got her half duplex, 3 houses from the ocean in Fairfield, and she was freaking out.
Yeah.
She was freaking out because it was the first time she was in debt. But you know what? She was actually paying way less money because she had been paying rent for 10 years.
Right.
So this little half duplex had a suite in it. So her monthly payments actually went down from almost $2,000 for her to $900 after the rental.
That's amazing. Yeah, and well done. And that's the thing with buying homes is, you don't always time it perfectly, but if you can buy a home for yourself, this isn't talking about investment properties, then it's really about lifestyle, and it's about consistency, and there's so many reasons to buy that are outside of the market fluctuations.
Yeah, and you might want to talk to your realtor about why they own a home and what's the satisfaction they get from owning a home, right? Like for us, I know I've lived in a rental, we renovated a rental, and that's how we made our rent. We did the upgrades for the owner, and so he benefited when it all went down a few years later. And now, we're working on our own house. There's great satisfaction in owning your own home.
There is, yeah. Now, that being said, what are the reasons you might want it? Like, reasons people sell in any market, divorce, job changes, estates, upsizing, downsizing because there's a change in family, or change in your own economic situation. Right now, probably people are thinking about their economic situation and should they sell. I had a conversation with someone years ago. It was a really interesting conversation where they owned a home, and they were in the Highlands. And this home, they were living on very little money trying to pay their mortgage. And they had missed some payments, and it was unaffordable for them. They couldn't actually afford this home anymore. And they said to me, can you sell this home? And I said, I can't sell this home for what you owe on it. You'd be selling it for less than it's worth. And so they were continuing to pay their mortgage. And I said, at some point the bank's going to come take this. So why don't you're going to have to just, stop paying your mortgage and let them foreclose on you. And, start putting that money aside to moving. They actually ended up moving out of the city.
Aw.
Yeah, and it was really sad. But they were talking about their food budget and how they were essentially eating canned food every month, and that was all they were eating. And it just working so hard to keep this house, and looking at it and looking at the writing on the wall. It's just, there's nothing you can do to keep this.
Yeah.
So there's and people. I'm all like, you want to keep your commitments and make your commitments, but if you can't make them, and you miss a couple of mortgage payments, they're going to eventually come after you and do a foreclosure on you. So if you know that's the case, then you should probably talk to a financial expert, but it might actually make more sense to walk away from the home.
A lot of people, I don't recommend that, but I understand where you're coming from. I mean, it's extreme, right? A lot of people look at their equity in their house as a source of short-term money, which I think is a mistake. And I mean, lots of people come and talk to us about their lives and what's happening and everything. Like maybe they've lost a job or whatever. And so, real estate is really about helping people manage making major decisions about money, and counseling them about the pros and cons. It's not like for the faint of heart, honestly. I've had many evenings where I've had trouble sleeping because, somebody is going through a hard time and we have to counsel them through that decision. So,
and when it does come, if you are finding yourself in some financial hot water, it does mean talking to more than one expert and understanding your options. And one thing that realtors do is we connect, we're connectors. So if someone says, and people don't know what they don't know. So they come to you with these problems or these concerns, and we can connect them up with experts that can give them advice. And maybe maybe they have the option of refinancing their mortgage, extending their mortgage for a longer period of time and lowering their monthly rent rates. Maybe the bank will give them a bit of a break if they can make a case for it. Or maybe there's some government supports out there for people in their situation. So, I wasn't giving blanket advice.
It's all about cash flow, really. That's and making it work.
And understanding, cash flow, understanding your options, and making a plan around it.
Okay, so Andrew, do you have anything coming up listing wise?
Probably. I've got a condo, sort of a view condo coming up. Would be in View Royal area over by So I'm meeting them this week, and then I may have something else coming up out on Brookside. I think I may have mentioned that.
Really?
Yeah, at some point we're waiting to find something for them first, right? So there's things that are happening, but if may wait till we've actually found a place before we list.
Okay, well, I have a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo coming up on Brookside. It's a corner unit. It's going to be high fives, and it's on the cool side of the building.
So it's in the woods.
No, that faces south. It's on the northeast corner. And then I have another townhouse coming up on Amelia. That's going to be 1-bedroom, 1-bath. We're going to be listing that this week. I don't have a price for that yet.
A 1-bed, 1-bath townhouse. Nice.
Yeah, and that's going to be in the 5s. And then I have a little house coming up in Kettle Creek that's 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. And we have, again, we're looking at what's happening in that market before we determine the price. But that's probably going to be in the 7s.
Yeah, Kettle Creek's an interesting one. There's a lot of different little configurations, these tiny little homes. But I really like those homes, but they're kind of a townhouse alternative, you might almost say.
Yeah, low impact living, I would say.
Yeah, but you're right, and you're right near Langford Lake, and so it's a nice little area. Once you're committed to going out to the West Shore, I think it's a good option for some people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got some folks. I'm looking for a family home for some folks, for a family of 5, and they're looking for a starter home. So they don't need it, although it's a family of 5. They're not looking for or needing a lot of space because their budget is really like under 900,000, maybe higher if they've got a suite in there. But it's really looking for a bit of a needle in a haystack. So we're willing to compromise a bit on condition or size. They're willing to try to fit their family into like a 3-bedroom, 1-bath home. It's young children. So, what have you? If you know of anybody listing a home in the core, we are looking desperately for this young family.
Well, my listing on Whiteside is going down to $849, and it's 3-bedroom, 1-bath on a 6,000 square foot lot. It is not a large home. It is 900 square feet, but there's room to build.
Okay.
And you can enclose the carport.
Okay. Well, I'll remind them of it. We have already talked about that one, but I will remind them of it.
$25,000 price reduction today.
Okay.
All right. So, by the way, everybody, we are on every Monday at 10 a.m. Please join us. Andrew, how do people get in touch with you?
You can reach me 250-360-6106 or email me info@andrewplank.com. Check out the website, andrewplank.com.
Okay, and if you want to reach me, my name is Jane Johnston. I'm with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. I don't know how I just did that. And you can reach me at 250-744-0775. My email is briarhillgroup@gmail.com. And you can check out both websites. I have briarhillgroup.com for buyers and sellers and vancouverislandtime.com for neighborhoods. And these videos are on here. And as well, I just want to say, Andrew, thank you for being you.
Oh, Jane, thank you for being you. I look forward to this every week with trepidation, but also what are we going to talk about this time? But I enjoy it. It's always fun.
Okay, bring your tan next week.
Yeah, I got to get out and get some sun.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. See you guys. Take care.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.